Nice hearing from you, Carlos.
Welcome to the early 2000s, when horror was loud, in your face, and not worried about a thing. Horror fans were spoiled with theatrical releases happening regularly, so much so that some weeks saw more than one big horror title opening on the big screen at the same time. Fans were treated to everything, including serial killers, slashers, ghosts, and aliens. There was a bit of everything for everyone, but in pure early 2000s style. A lot of films were all style, all gore, and all fun.
Oh, this is another one of those onion things, isn't it?
No, this is one of those drop it and leave it alone things.
Well, why don't you want to talk about it?
Why do you want to talk about it?
This was the only way to follow the late 1990s and the revival of many subgenres and careers. 13 Ghosts was, and still is, easily one of the most enjoyable entries from 2001, with gory, spooky, sexy ghosts throughout and a fun cast to go with it. Critics pretty much hated the film if the 18% it has on Rotten Tomatoes is any indication, with the audience being just a little more generous with the film. As for me, well, I love it.
It's marvelous, though, isn't it? A living work of art.
It's a favorite from the era and one that gets rewatched a couple of times per year. It's a fun one to watch on your own or with a group. It's silly, it knows it wants you to have fun. So, fun I had. The film gets a solid 9 out of 10 for me, to tell you how much I love this one. Back in the day, I would have given it a 12 out of 10, but the years have made me less extreme while more movies have been watched, like a small 1,000 per year on average, which means that I am less likely to go crazy for a movie. However, back in the day, I remember clearly seeing this in the second run theater. Like I said, the films were coming at us fast and furious that year, and there were just too many releases to manage to see all of them in just the first week.
How depraved is that?
If you haven't noticed, I'm a little bit of a freak!
The second run theater downtown Montreal, yes, there was still one in 2001, which they called a move-over theater, was a gift from the horror heavens. They had a steady stream of horror films, and you could easily do a double or triple feature without breaking the bank. So, one day, a friend and I ventured downtown and saw a few films, including 13 Ghosts, which made me so freaking happy. It was back in my early days of reviewing, and I had not been tasked with reviewing it, so I just enjoyed it for the sake of enjoyment. That is something I keep reminding myself to do these days, just watch movies for fun, then write about them. How do I come to such a high mark of the film now? Over 20 years after its original release, when I loved it so much, I pre-ordered the DVD right after seeing it for the first time? Well, it's simple, so keep with me. By the way, that DVD just came in one of those snap-closed cardboard boxes, just like its remake, Best Buddy House on the Hill.
Justice.
Similarly to that film, 13 Ghosts is a remake of a Castle film, and it updates the story for current sensibilities or lack thereof. That DVD showed up, I had to trek back downtown to pick it up, then went home, and I went to watch the film too many times. These days, I still watch it regularly on the very same DVD, but not to the point of knowing all the lines by heart still. I also know full well that this is not a masterpiece, but it's pretty close if you ask me, hence the 9 out of 10. To me, it is a masterpiece. To some, it's more of a disaster piece. But as long as it's being enjoyed, it makes me happy, no matter what they call it or rate it. So, what's the story here? Well, it's a haunted house, but with a twist.
Wow, you can see right through it.
Huh. You guys couldn't afford any walls?
How weird.
After losing their wife and mother and house in a fire, a family composed of dad Arthur, daughter Kelly, and son Bobby have added a sassy nanny named Maggie to bring a bit of comedic relief to their lives, or at least the film.
Bobby, don't call your sister a slut.
Thank you, Maggie.
I prefer the term bitch.
One day, as they worry about money and making it while living in what is considered a small apartment, having no money, yet having the budget to have a nanny who does nothing on staff,
Hey, I heard that.
they receive a visit from a lawyer. Of course, at first, the mature for her age daughter worries about collections or if they're going to lose even more. Turns out, they had a rich, eccentric uncle who just passed away and left them his insane house and fortune. With a bit of convincing, they all head out to their new home to check out the digs. And what a house it is! Once there, they bump into a man from the opening. Except they don't know that he knew the uncle and had an exceptionally bad time with him in a junkyard collecting some ghosts for the uncle's collection. Soon, this man manages to go in the house with them under the pretense that he's from the power company and he needs to do his job. The family and the lawyer go over some stuff. The father worries about the cost of maintenance and the daughter worries about how big the bathrooms are. Soon, things take a turn with the help of the not from the power company man named Dennis, and he shows his true colors and warns them about the ghosts imprisoned in the house.
Goats? Ghosts! Ghosts, goddammit, listen to me!
Chaos ensues, we get to see a bunch of ghosts, 12 to be exact, and get to wonder when the 13th ghost will show up. These ghosts are not particularly scary, but their appearances are spooky enough. Sexy, even in one case. As they run through the house with the moving walls, using special glasses to see the ghosts, the lawyer bites it spectacularly, and a new character enters the mayhem, a psychic or ghost whisperer named Kalina, who may or may not have good intentions. The mayhem escalates, the film gets louder and more visually violent, and we get the ending where the 13th ghost is revealed in an almost too sweet sequence for this viewer. Still, the film ends pretty quick with minimal bloodshed from the leads and a closing song by Raw Digga, who plays Maggie in the film. Now, is that story groundbreaking? Absolutely not. You better believe that it is fun though. The story itself has just a few issues and a few things thrown in there for convenience.
What? Why not?
Some characters know things just out of the blue, and some things are forgotten when it's practical, but none of this takes away from the fun of it.
They wait for you to stick your face right up against the glass, and then they give you a big fat boom.
Don't do that!
The opening sequence in the junkyard is awesome. It's based on the evil of man collecting souls and not letting them rest. It's violent and even a bit vile in the reasoning for it. It's one hell of an opening sequence though, and it really pulls you in.
A truck full of blood? You gotta be shitting me.
The ending has some schmaltzy stuff that is just a bit too sugary sweet for this viewer, but it works in the insanity that the film is. The middle of it, the meat of the film, is where the ghosts show up, and that is where the fun is. If you are a fan of well-executed practical special effects and crazy character designs, this is the film for you. The ghosts each have their own backstory. They have a specific design that is their own, and the film doesn't shy away from giving them wounds, and even from having one of them basically being nude. This is how you do over-the-top horror. This is how you throw everything at the screen and hope it all sticks. And it does.
How you lose an entire family in a glass house?
The ghosts are basically the main reason to see the film, that and the performances for the ghost and their would-be victims.
How'd you know we'd be safe?
I didn't.
The fact that most of the work is practical effects is a very big reason to love this film. Of course, there's some early 2000s CGI, which has aged like early 2000s CGI. It has its issues, but it's easy to look past it. Another effect here is the use of quick cuts and fast editing for effects, and well, it's annoying. While it's dynamic looking and it makes sense with the visions that Dennis Rafkin has, the quick cuts and flashes are more headache-inducing than excitement-creating in my old age.
Move! What? Somehow, we got behind enemy lines.
While this was just a part of the film in 2001, watching with my 20-year-old eyes now, it's a bit more of a problem. Those sensitive to flashing lights or show effects should try and watch this in full light to avoid this issue, or may just want to skip the film entirely, which is too bad as it's just a big miss to skip this one. The acting? Oh, the acting. Is the acting great?
It's gonna sound completely whacked, alright? But just stay with me.
Let's not kid ourselves. There's no way this would be a best acting sort of film. Still though, the acting is decent while being over the top.
We've struck gold.
Somewhere between Matthew Lillard's performance as Dennis and Raw Digga's performance as Maggie, the film almost goes into schlock, and the two of them choose some scenery together so beautifully well it becomes an art form.
Can I rely on you not to get me killed?
I guarantee you nothing.
The acting from Tony Shalhoub, Shannon Elizabeth, Alec Roberts, and J.R. Bourne is okay. Where things go full tilt cheesy is with the performance by F. Murray Abraham as the rich uncle. His work here makes it look like he's just relishing the part and loving the chance at being an eccentric old kook. And Beth Davids, unfortunately, doesn't always seem like she's in the same film as the rest of the cast. She's okay, but something about her performance just feels off. She does not seem to be having as much fun as the rest of the cast. The cast for The Ghost does good work in their limited time on screen, and they bring the characters to life without a word, making it all about the physical performance. They also clearly understand the assignment here. Ghosts, spooky, but not run the audience out of the room scary. More of them would be great. You know, like that treatment other films are getting. Something like a series about the ghosts, their lives, how they died, how they became trapped. Sorry, I can't avoid thinking about how awesome the possibilities would be here.
Congratulations! You get to become the 13th Ghost. Now get on your feet.
Let's get back to the story here, to its writing. 13 Ghosts was written by Rob White, Neil Marshall Stevens, and Richard DeVidio. White is credited with the story here, and the other two wrote the script. As a remake of the 1960 film 13 Ghosts, this version credits its creator, and of course takes some of the original along with some serious liberties to make this the most 2001 movie that ever 2001'd. Their work here, along with that of director Steve Beck, created an adaptation that pissed off some people to say the least, but personally, I love it. It's silly, it has ghosts, it's loud, it's in your face, and it's exactly what it wants to be. It clearly has not won over every viewer out there, but I have to say, so what? Seriously, just put it on and have fun with it.
What are you doing? What did I just say? Did I just say there's a petting zoo downstairs? No!
Speaking of things that are oh so 2001, check out the soundtrack for this film. Like seriously, even if you don't watch the film, check out the soundtrack online. The songs, including the one by Raw Digga that closes the film, are very dated yet fun. Another song used here is Excess by Tricky, with uncredited vocals by Alanis Morissette.
That's me.
Which was reused the following year on the soundtrack to another fantastically cheesy horror film, Queen of the Damned.
Wait! Hey! I need to talk to someone. I don't believe this!
It is not an exercise. This is a police control.
Hey, I'm sorry.
The score by John Frizzell is almost subdued at times, something that is almost shocking considering the film. The music is close to classical and feel at first, then as things ramp up in the film, the score adds noises that are not exactly music but help layer the sound and create the exact right atmosphere. It does highlight and direct the tension at times, creating a sound that brings excitement and spookiness out of the film when needed. This is a score that when taken on its own, does not say 2001 as loud as the soundtrack does. It's effective and it can almost work on its own, and a few of the tracks are easy to listen to without the movie on. Of course, the later tracks are meant to spook and to create chaos, so those are not so much something to listen to while you cook dinner or read a book.
Greatness requires sacrifice. Now I have a job to do.
13 Ghosts is kind of a cult film at this point, having its fandom truly loving it and having its detractor truly hating it. Both great signs for longevity in the horror genre. The film has aged, yes. It is also very much a product of its time, but it's still so much fun these days, both for a chaotic horror watch and as a party movie where you can easily come in and out of watching it without getting lost in the story.
I don't want you guys to move from this spot. We'll be right back.
Could it have been a more serious horror film with deeper connections to the viewer? A more profound look at the ethics of what was being done to those poor souls trapped in the house, and even a more subtle approach to scares? Absolutely.
It's time to leave.
I'll take your word for it.
Did it need to be these things to be enjoyed? Absolutely not. 13 Ghosts is effective and enjoyable as it is. It's not meant to be a serious film, and clearly those involved in making it understood the assignment. The film is a boatload of fun with good special effects, fun ghost appearances, a cast that goes for it, and a filmmaker that knew what he was working with and wasn't ashamed to make it a blast. Fans of 13 Ghosts, like me, still rewatch it today, and were vocal enough to get a super duper Blu-ray release of it recently with new artwork and all kinds of goodies on the disc. Now, do I have that version? Not yet. I'm still deeply attached to my cheap cardboard box that snaps shut.
I am sick of this nanny shit. I've had it. This was not in the job description. I quit!